Welcome back, friends, to another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. Lids87 here, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about Yuffie to see how worthy she is of your tickets and or gems. Before I do get into it though, friends, please remember to hit that like and subscribe button. Now, the day I am making this video is when Yuffie is going to be coming out on Rude's Lost Chapter. My mind is in the gutter right now. So let's go ahead and take a look at her. Let's go ahead and recap her abilities with her brand new LD weapon to see if you guys should be pulling for her. Now, Yuffie in Opera Omnia, she is a massive debuffer. She has so many debuffs built into her kit, alright? And she is going to be getting a rework, and she is ranged base. Now, when it comes to Yuffie herself, she has the capabilities to steal buffs, she can dispel, she can throw buffs back. With her skill 1 Mine Now, this is gravity based attack that is going to steal 2 buffs from the enemies and extend it, which can come in useful. So if you're familiar with Balthier and how he works, it's going to be the same concept in terms of stealing buffs from your enemies. Her skill 2, I Don't Need This. This is the ability that's going to throw her debuffs, her own debuffs, back towards all of the enemies, while also dispelling a buff from each of your allies. Now, if you're not familiar with Yuffie soloing content, to date, from my knowledge, she can solo 2 Lufenias, one of them being Lufenia Plus, and the other a standard Lufenia, the one where when Terra came out, one of the arc chapters, it's some kind of like chariot demon looking thingamabob. You throw the debuffs back to said bosses, and she could take them on. The upcoming one, the Lufenia Plus, is going to be during an Intertwine Will, which is essentially another version of Lost Chapter for characters, and this one's going to be for Garnets. So during Garnets Lufenia Plus, bring Yuffie, use I Don't Need This. Literally on the first turn, you're done. So if this is the main reason why you want Yuffie, and you don't want her LD, you're going to use it just for this, hey, then you are all set. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate it. Right, now, let's go ahead and talk about her buffs and all of those debuffs in her base kit before we talk about her actual LD weapon. Now, with her skill 2, I Don't Need This, she is going to grant herself Few Perfect for 8 turns. This is going to increase her max brave attack by 60% and her speed by 30%. With Mine Now, her skill 1, she will grant herself a 25% max brave up for 1 turn, so I take it for what it is. Now, with I Don't Need This, she will literally inflict 8 debuffs on your enemies for 3 turns. Alright, now each one of these bullet points is its own debuff. So you have 40% int brave down, 20% max brave down, 40% attack down, 40% defense down, 40% physical attack down, 20% magic attack down, 20% action delay up, and poisoned by 40% of int brave. So literally just with her second skill, she's already filling up all 8 slots. The only problem with this though is that I guess it could be a problem, it could not, depending on your situation, is that these are generic non-frame debuffs, so they will be getting pushed off constantly. But if an enemy buffs himself with a lot of generic buffs, you can easily push them off, right? So just something to keep in mind. Now, with her EX ability Gauntlet, she is going to do 2 things. One of them is she's going to grant herself a buff for 6 turns called Water's God Blessing, which is going to increase the party's max brave by 20% and the party's attack by 40%, while also granting her Brave Attack plus plus, HP Attack plus plus. And the other thing she's going to do with Gauntlet is that she will inflict a framed debuff called No Cheating for 2 turns. What this is going to do for the enemy is that enemy cannot gain Brave. They can still steal Brave, alright, when they attack you, that's stealing Brave from you, but they cannot gain Brave, saving you from certain situations. Now, with her LD ability, she will have 4 uses of this. It is called Doom of the Living. This is going to inflict yet another debuff called Doom of the Living on all the enemies, followed by a 1-hit AoE range Brave plus split AoE HP attack executed 7 times, and on the following turn, there is going to be a free ability use, except LD abilities, at least to date, even on the JP side. LD abilities cannot be used for free. And she will grant herself a new buff called Everything Mine for 8 turns. What this frame buff is going to do is this is going to extend the duration of all of her inflicted debuffs by 2 turns, and this is going to increase her damage. This is going to increase her Brave and HP damage by 5% per debuff on the target, max being at 40%. So this is nice for her, just to let her hit a little bit harder. Now, also what this buff is going to do for Yuffie is that every time she initiates an HP attack, there is going to be party-wide battery by 20% of total HP damage dealt by Yuffie. Now, that Doom of the Living debuff for 6 turns, it is framed. So with this debuff and her EX ability debuff, you're gonna be pushing off some of these other generic debuffs off. So just keep that in mind. And that's even if you get debuffed and she throws debuffs back, all right? Massive amounts of debuffs. Just throwing that out there. Now, Doom of the Living. What this is going to do, this is going to decrease the enemy's attack and defense by 5% per debuff on said target, so up to 40%. This is going to lower the said enemy speed by 3% per debuff on target, maximum being 24%. And there is going to be a sapped effect by 3% of max brave per debuff, up to 24%. And this will give her access to brave attack plus HP attack plus. With her LD boards, when the quest starts, she will gain access to everything mined for 4 turns. When the wave starts, so each battle, each wave, this will inflict Doom of the Living on all the enemies for 4 turns. You could literally just use your second ability to get all the debuffs on the enemies to maximize on her damage output. And before inflicting Doom of the Living, this will remove 1 buff from all the enemies, and of course, her LD ability, Doom of the Living, will be hitting harder with her LD boards. When it comes to her call actions, her standard one is going to be Mine Now for Mine Now call. What this is going to do, this is going to dispel 2 buffs on the enemies. This is going to gravity by 100%, mind you, so it could come in useful, followed by the damage. Doom of the Living call, this will inflict Doom of the Living for 4 turns on the enemies, do damage, and this will dispel 1 buff from all the targets. Now, before I talk about the worthiness of Yuffie, please keep in mind that this is the Worthimeter Plus version of my Worthimeter. That means I am much more harsher on a lot of these units because the Lufenia Plus era is about a month away. Typically, what we like to look for are for units that are going to either come back later down the line with their crystal level 90 for longevity before the new gacha era, which I think is going to happen in the JP side of the game, like in the end of September, possibly October. And a lot of the units that we are receiving, we're looking for other units that could potentially be useful during the start of the Lufenia Plus era. A lot of the units that we are receiving are going to be pretty good in a lot of your team compositions, so we are able to be much more harsher on these units. That being said though, friends, remember that at the end of the day, enjoy the game, use your stash, your gems, go for your favorite characters over meta any day. All right, fam? So if you're a Final Fantasy VII fan, go for Yuffie, then go for Barret. All right, but in this video, Yuffie, how worthy is she? There's going to be no free multi-draws on this banner, so good luck. I'm going to say she's somewhat worthy of your resources. Now, first and foremost, like I mentioned earlier in the video, if you're literally you just want her for that Lufenia Plus cheese, you're done. You don't need her LD weapon. That's it. Congratulations. Enjoy your free resources. Now, Yuffie being a massive dispeller, we already have other dispellers in the game. So if you have other dispellers, you don't necessarily need her. Now, she is useful in the form that she could massively debuff the enemies, but that also there's also conflict there with your own team compositions if you have other debuffers on your party. If their buffs are framed, you're fine, because as you remember, her 8 debuffs that she inflicts, they are generic debuffs. Now, aside from that, she does have the utility in the form that she can cleanse your parties of a buff. She can throw debuffs back. She can dispel the enemies, and with her EX ability Gauntlet, that debuff, she can prevent the enemies from gaining any form of Brave. All right, friends, so she has yet to repeat on the JP side of the game with her crystal level 90, so we will wait to see what happens there. If you are planning ahead, you're just going to have to pay attention for that. But to this date, she has yet to receive it. All right, friends, so this one's pretty much a faster how worthy plus, as I do want to say. If you're a Final Fantasy VII fan, go for it by all means. If you already have a debuffer, you don't necessarily need Yuffie. You can cheese the Lufenia and Lufenia Plus content by just using her second ability. Alright, friends, so that is it for this video, friends. I want to thank you guys for watching my How Worthy Are They covering Yuffie. Be sure to let me know down below in the comments your overall thoughts about Yuffie. Me, personally, I'm going to throw tickets for Yuffie. I am a Final Fantasy VII fan, but if I miss her out, I'll be fine. My main goal for this month is going to be Barret himself. So we'll see what tickets are going to do for me pulling for Yuffie. Barret, I do have plans to use gems because I still have yet to acquire Yuna's burst weapon. So we will see what happens when Rune's Lost Chapter goes live. All right, friends, so tickets for lids, possibly 100, possibly 200. Make some space for once we get Divine Pandemonium. All right, friends, so again, all your wonderful comments down below. And until next time, friends, good luck and have a good one.